Edition of the Breakfast Show, and today we are going to be talking about role models and their influence on the youth. Yes, the youth, they are important for development, and we need to have good role models for them. So we will find out who a good role model is, and I have with me Dr. Kofi Osei, and this is not my first time talking to him. Is it the third time?
It's about the third time.
Yes, so he is a life coach and a motivational speaker. And I also have Prophet Lawrence Success.
That's right.
Success. That's your last name?
That's it.
Wow, you must be very successful.
Always successful.
Okay. He is from the Holy of Holies Chapel International in Gulf City, Tema. Well, good morning to you and welcome to the show.
Good
morning.
And thank
Today,
you to
well, I think they should have brought a lady to be sitting in the middle.
Sure.
So at least you have two ladies and two gentlemen. But it's okay. I'll speak for all the ladies.
That's wonderful.
It's okay. Yes, Dr. Kofi Osei, I'll start with you. Who is a role model?
Okay, so when we say somebody's a role model, it's basically somebody that people look up to and want to be like. Okay, and a role model, when you a role model, basically it's not somebody you just consciously choose to be your role model. It can be an unconscious thing as well. All right.
Okay.
Let me give you a scenario that will just give us a better light on who a role model is. Okay, so in about, I think it was around 1953, and you know, Mount Everest is about 8 kilometers high, and around 1953. By that time, a lot of people had tried to climb that mountain, okay, and many people had died in the process of trying to climb Mount Everest. Now, as of that time, it was believed that it was unconquerable, all right? So in 1953, in May, two people, one called Edmund Hillary, was able to climb, you know, Mount Everest, and eventually, once they conquered the mountain, everybody else was able to climb Mount Everest. What happened? What changed? It was just because as soon as one person was able to make it and succeed, a lot of people started believing that we can also make it. Okay, so a role model is basically somebody who achieves success, and because of that, it makes people believe that they can also make it.
So are you saying that a role model is someone who is able to achieve something which hasn't been achieved before? Is that your criteria or criterion for determining who a role model is?
So basically, it's somebody that you want to be like, okay? He's achieved something great, or he's achieved something that you want to achieve, and so you look up to the person, all right? But the power of a role model is in scenarios like that. For instance, you know,
exceptional things.
You know, until 1957, almost the whole of Africa was under colonial rule. And as soon as Kwame Nkrumah and his compatriots were able to get independence for Ghana, everybody across the continent of Africa started believing that really we can also get independence. And right after that, Nigeria and all other countries started gaining independence. So it's such a powerful thing to be able to have people do something that have not been done, and immediately starts to change the psyche of everybody. So it's really something powerful. It may be an individual, it may be your teacher, it may be your parents, it may be, you know, people in society who have done something that you like to do, and then, you know, you just model your life after that.
Okay. You know, in Kwame Nkrumah's case, we all know him as a visionary leader. So a role model is also a visionary leader. Is that okay? Prophet.
Sure.
I know you're itching to tell us something, so you have it.
When we talk about a role model, we are referring to somebody who challenges you to change the status quo or to break records and set records. Somebody who imparts experiential knowledge onto others or followers. Out of the spectrum of leaders, that is how come we have role models. We can have leaders who are no role models. Role model is somebody who can change your life forever. Somebody you can learn so much from. Somebody who can impact your life positively. Let's not forget that we have other role models who are impacting lives negatively, where people copy blindly the way they dress, the way they talk, the way they behave, the way they go about things. So a role model is somebody who is very, very influential, somebody who can influence you far or near.
Okay.
The person can be near, can be far, it can be through correspondence, somebody who have gained experience, who has expertise, and he can be able to impact it. Some leaders are not impacting.
Okay.
They are not.
Okay.
So when you check some of the biblical examples, we have Moses raising Joshua. There are some of the men in the Bible who are not able to mentor others. I will better still say mentor or role model, somebody you can emulate a lot of things from. So it's not about the positivity of the impact. We also have the negative aspect of it, where people are impacted negatively, they copy blindly, they do things anyway, anyhow. So I believe that we have gotten to a point where we have to choose the right people who can impact our lives. I will sit here from where I sit and the spectacle I'm wearing. I believe that I don't have to copy everybody, and I don't have to be like everybody. I have to be myself. The best person is you. You can emulate a lot of things. There are people who get to even a point where they mimic their role models. They want their voice to be like them. You can copy from them, you can learn a lot, but you don't have to force yourself to be like them. So that is my side of it. I believe that we can learn a lot from them, but we don't have to force ourselves to be like them.
Okay. I want you to really draw the line where one has a role model and like, you know, and the person doesn't have to be that person. It's not trying to be that role model, because you can only be the best version of you.
Sure.
So how do you draw that line? And also, when you take someone as your role model, and you know, okay, Dr. Kofi Osei, he is a motivational speaker. He talks to the youth. He does all these things, and I like that about him. Can that qualify, just that alone, qualify you to be a good role model for me? Am I not supposed to look at other things that you do?
It's absolutely important that you look at many things, so we can look at how you actually select a role model. Okay, so but before that, you know, I was trying to establish a very practical point about there are dictionary definitions of who a role model is. I'm trying to stay away from that. Practically on the ground, you don't just consciously choose a role model. You don't just come up and say, you are my role model. That's one way, but most of the time we have role models in our lives that we didn't consciously choose. It's just because they are around us, like your parents, like your teachers, like the people around you. For as long as somebody has excessive influence over you, before you realize you're becoming like them. Even in churches, you're becoming like them. Even in church, you realize that in many churches, church members will suddenly begin to cut their hair like that, like their main pastor. They begin to dress like their main pastor. Sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. So a role model is really a powerful, influential figure around you. You may choose the person consciously or unconsciously. Okay, in consciously choosing a role model, you should first of all know yourself. Okay, so you're old enough to choose a role model. You should know yourself. You should know who you are, what your purpose is, what you like, what you want to be, what your giftings are. Once you understand yourself, then you can identify a good role model who sort of connects with you. Okay, so once you know yourself first, find the right person who is in that position that you want to be one day, and you get into that connection with that person, either personally or through their books and materials. You know, you have that person as a role model. Secondly, you need to look for somebody who has the right values, who shares the values that you share. All right, so a good role model must have character and integrity, a good one. There are bad ones. There are many bad ones out there. There are many bad ones, you know, who are on drugs. There are many bad ones who are so-called celebrities, and yet they are role models. And those, we don't encourage people to take them on as their role models. But for a good role model, you must check out what their values are. Are they people of integrity? Are they people of character? Do they have the right value system that you can, you know, sort of follow or emulate? Because the danger is that once you have somebody as a role model, if you're not careful, you're just going to be like that person. All right? You're just going.
I want you to draw that line for us. When to stop and say, okay, I'm just learning the good things from this person and not trying to be that person.
I believe that when you have a role model, you have to have it at the back of your mind that you are not dealing with an angel. You are dealing with a human being who has his own shortcomings. Right. He has his own mistakes and all that. A good role model always sees the best in others. He's able to communicate very well with his followers. He makes sure that you learn the good out of the bad. We have a lot of, like my brother rightly said, we have a lot of them. But you have to learn from the right people, because your source will determine how far you go in life. At the end of the day, role models are very, very careful in their dealings when it comes to their public life and all that. They make sure that they don't make mistakes. We have a lot of leaders. Leaders keep making mistakes. Everybody, once they have the position to be a leader, wherever we find ourselves, we do anything and we go scot-free. But role models are very, very careful. And they are not common. You have a few of them. Because when you are talking about character, it's not everyone who can stand for it. So integrity, character, good morals, we learn all those things from them. But I still want to take this stand that we can learn everything from them, but let's not try to be like them. Almost everything. We want to talk like them. We want to behave almost everything about them. We want to have it. Exactly. We can have almost everything about them, but we can't have all. Let's get it right, that we can learn a lot from our leaders. Some of them are very humble. You have to learn from that side. Remember Jesus washing the feet of his disciples. A whole Jesus coming down, telling the disciples that I have to serve you. You don't have to serve me. That is a symbol of humility. And that tells you that every role model must be humble. A role model who has that passion to change lives, to transform a lot of lives, to make sure that the people who are looking up to him or her are doing the right thing. They don't want to make mistakes. At the end of the day, every true child of God and every leader want to make an impact. But it takes the grace of God. It takes wisdom, it takes knowledge, it takes understanding to impart your followers. I might be looking up to somebody who is not even here. He might be elsewhere, a far distant country, but I can learn a lot from that one. I might not know his private life, but what is public is what I'm seeing, and that is what I'm emulating. So it's good that we emulate the good out of the bad. That's it.
Okay. Would you say that we have a lot of, the youth in Ghana, we are looking up to role models here? Because I am asking this because I see a lot of young people, and when they are talking, they talk more about people or celebrities outside of this country. Oh, this person, someone gets up, Beyonce, this, and I wonder, don't we have people here that we can look up to, even in your own home?
I think, you see, that's a fantastic question to ask, okay? And it comes down to the psyche of the society, all right? Unfortunately, let me put that blunt, we are quite a people that don't celebrate the success of our own. See, that's why I started by saying how powerful role modeling is. You see, the fact that one person was able to climb Mount Everest, everybody started to climb it just because something changed in the minds of the people. Nothing changed about the mountain. The mountain did not become shorter. No. It was still the same height. People couldn't climb it. As soon as one person did it, everybody followed, all right? You see, have you come across somebody in Ghana who popped up his right hand and said, I am a millionaire, I made it, and you can emulate me? Have you seen that? You see, you won't see that very often, because many times somebody popped up their right hand and said that, people are likely to attack the person, criticize the person, and say you're a thief, and probably bring the person down. You see,
probably we got your money through cocaine.
Yeah, we see all kinds of things. And so if you're successful, you got to hide yourself, all right? Yes. But the danger of that is that the younger generation have nobody to look up to, all right? And so if we started celebrating success, if we started celebrating the right values, if we started celebrating hard work, if we start celebrating things like, look, you can make it here in Ghana, and you can boldly say that and let people emulate you, look, it has a powerful trickling down effect on everybody else, okay?
So we shouldn't say, we should let people know that it's all right to be wealthy if you acquired it through
If
the
you
right
acqui- if
means.
you acquired it through
Enjoy
the-
it. Let people see
exactly.
that you worked hard for what you have.
It is for that single reason that we have a lot of young people, being criminal, doing sakawa and doing all kinds of things. Meanwhile, there's a right way of becoming successful. That's why I'm quite passionate on that. I go across the universities teaching on wealth creation, okay? Sharing the principles of wealth creation that to some extent it's a science. If you follow certain principles, you can become successful. But it would be nice if we had a lot more role models that we can talk about here in Ghana rather than always referring to the Bill Gates and the Warren Buffett and
But can you also blame the youth? The Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs. It looks like they did extraordinary things. Are we really doing that here?
Well, if you ask me, we have a lot of great role models.
Okay.
In business, we have Dr. Park, we see Indom, we have many other successful people in ministry, Dr. Otabills and so on. Look, they're establishing universities, and doing amazing things, like the founder of the Cardio Center at Kolebu and many other role models across the country. And we need to celebrate them, across political divides, no matter where they come from, no matter what part of the country they come from. If we are successful, we should celebrate that, and we should let the youth know that you can make it. But also I think I would encourage a lot more role models to engage the public, because you see I've discovered that it's sometimes really hard to connect to some of the successful people. You find people like Bill, Steve Jobs, before he passed away, he would go to the universities and speak to the students, spend time with the young people and tell them this is how I made it. So role models the bigger role models should actually come down and connect more with people.
Okay. Prophet, what we are talking about is really interesting, but I am looking at this too. If someone is not wealthy or someone hasn't come up with the latest phone or whatever gadgets we can talk about, and the person is doing something good, maybe in his or her little corner, changing lives. Remember Mother Teresa? She didn't
One of my role models.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Shouldn't we
Wonderful
also
woman.
bring such people up for people to look up to? It doesn't just have to be the material stuff, does it?
Yeah, Prophet, please.
We have gotten to a stage where we have to encourage little beginnings. Bible said that we shouldn't concentrate on how we start. Though our beginnings shall be small, our ends shall greatly increase. I believe in small beginnings, but we have to inculcate that culture, that attitude, that character in the youth and those around us. I think around us we have a lot of role models. We have a lot of people who can transform our life by mere contact with those people. By getting into contact, just a twinkle of an eye, they can transform our life. But how many are ready to learn, relearn, and unlearn? We have youth who are more than ready to learn a lot from their role models, whilst others are not ready to learn. We have a perverse generation, generation who are not ready to learn, relearn, and unlearn. We feel some of them are so boisterous that you can't even teach them. They feel they know better than their teacher. But I always want to emulate the best role model. That's Jesus Christ. So humble, down to earth. Somebody who was God came down as a mere human being, a man with a zero reputation on planet Earth. He obeyed all the orders of the soldiers who were torturing him, died as a normal person. Remember that Abraham Lincoln once said something. He said, if people show you or teach you the people who are suppressing you, opposing you, be careful about those who direct you to people who claim that they are opposing you. You need to be very careful about who is directing your cause, because what you hear can change your cause. What you hear can change your mindset concerning people. If you have a role model, I think we can learn the best from them than to concentrate on their shortcomings. Back here in Ghana, you have most people concentrating on the negativity of our leaders. They don't concentrate on the good. You hear youth insulting our leaders, which is uncalled for. Our culture, our society don't even allow that. But you have people speaking against our leaders. They say it on lettered words, silly and so bizarre. We just don't want to come down and learn from our leaders. I think that is one of the reasons why we don't have better people who will become better role models in the future, because we are not ready to learn. We think that we know already, we are already there. And I don't think that any teacher will want to teach a student who knows better than the teacher. So I think that when we move forward as a people, wherever we find ourselves, whether in our institutions, the church, wherever we find ourselves, we should put the spirit of humility in our people. When you are not humble, you can't learn. When you are not humble, you can't move forward, because God will always exalt the humble and brings the proud down. So I believe that we have good role models that we can emulate a lot of things from them. We can learn so much before they pass on. I don't think that the world